Hello everyone, and welcome back to Your Brain Lied. Today, we're going to talk about something many of us wrestle with daily, often without fully understanding why it leaves us feeling so drained: the news. Do you ever find yourself scrolling through headlines, feeling a familiar knot tightening your stomach, or that restless buzz starting behind your eyes, even when you're not entirely sure what you're anxious about? That feeling of needing to know everything, but then feeling worse for knowing? Yeah, your brain is doing some interesting work there, and sometimes it's not entirely helpful. We live in a world where information is everywhere, all the time. Our phones are extensions of our hands, constantly buzzing with updates, alerts, and breaking stories. While staying informed is important, many of us have found that our daily news diet leaves us feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and even helpless, rather than empowered. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose when all you really need is a glass of water. And that constant deluge, that's where our brain's ancient wiring can really start to misfire. Think of your brain as a highly sophisticated but very old alarm system. For tens of thousands of years, this alarm system was fantastic at keeping us safe. It was designed to constantly scan our environment for threats: a rustle in the bushes, the shadow of a predator, the signs of an impending storm. If something looked dangerous, our brain would flood our body with stress hormones, preparing us to fight, flee, or freeze. This system worked beautifully when threats were immediate, physical, and right in front of us. Now, fast forward to today. Our alarm system hasn't fundamentally changed, but our environment has been totally transformed. Instead of rustling bushes, our brain is scanning a global feed of potential threats: economic downturns, political conflicts across the world, natural disasters thousands of miles away, local crime statistics, public health alerts. It processes all of this as if it were happening right outside our cave, right now. It triggers that same primal fight or flight response, but there's no immediate predator to run from, no tangible danger to punch. We're just sitting there, absorbing information, and our body is ready for action it can't take. This creates a state of chronic, low-level activation, a constant hum of anxiety that never quite resolves. And here's where the "your brain lied" part comes in. Our brain tells us you need to know this, all of it, every detail. If you don't, you won't be safe, you won't be smart, you won't be a responsible citizen. It convinces us that by staying glued to every update, we're somehow gaining control or preparing ourselves. But in reality, for most of the news we consume, there's nothing we can immediately do. This feeling of helplessness, of being aware of problems without any direct means to solve them, is a huge contributor to anxiety. Our brain craves solutions, and when it can't find one, it just keeps spinning its wheels, generating more worry. The very nature of news also plays a role. News organizations, like any business, need eyeballs and attention. And what grabs attention? Things that are new, unusual, dramatic, and yes, often negative. Our brains are hardwired to pay more attention to potential threats because, from an evolutionary perspective, ignoring a threat was far more costly than being overly cautious. So headlines often highlight conflict, disaster, and things going wrong. It's not necessarily a conspiracy, it's just how our attention works. We're drawn to the urgent and the alarming, and our brain interprets that as crucial information for survival, even if it's just a sensationalized story about something far away that has no direct impact on our personal safety. Let me give you a common scenario. Imagine waking up on a Monday morning. You reach for your phone, still half asleep, and the first thing you see is a notification about a major global crisis. Then you scroll a bit further, and there's an article about inflation impacting everyone's grocery bill. Another one about a local crime surge. Before your feet have even hit the floor, your ancient alarm system has been triggered multiple times. Your body is releasing stress hormones, your muscles are subtly tensing, and your mind is already racing. You haven't even had your coffee, but you're already in a state of low-grade fight or flight. You carry that heavy, anxious feeling into your workday, into your conversations, into your interactions, without fully understanding why you feel so drained and on edge. Your brain told you that knowing all these things was preparing you, but instead, it just left you feeling overwhelmed and helpless. Or consider this. You see a headline about a natural disaster in a distant country. You feel a pang of concern, naturally. But then your brain, in its effort to protect you, starts asking, what if that happens here? Are you prepared? Should you be doing something? You start clicking on related articles, watching videos, reading comments from other worried people online. One article leads to another, then another. Hours might pass. You get sucked into this digital dive, feeling exhausted, emotionally drained, and perhaps even physically tense. You've spent valuable energy processing information that you can't act on, and your brain is convinced it's done a good job by keeping you informed of all these threats. But you're not more prepared, you're just more anxious. Another subtle way our brains mislead us is through what you might call a social mirror. We see other people reacting to news, perhaps in a group chat or on social media. They're sharing alarming articles, expressing fear, anger, or despair. Our brain interprets these reactions not just as information about the news itself, but as information about the level of threat. If everyone else is freaking out, then there must be something truly terrible going on, right? This can create a kind of emotional contagion, where others' anxiety feeds our own, amplifying our worries even further. Our brain tells us, join the collective worry, it's safer in numbers, but it often just traps us in a cycle of shared fear that prevents us from thinking clearly or finding solutions. So, what do we do about this? How do we stay informed without letting our brain's well-intentioned but often misguided alarm system drive us into a spiral of anxiety? The good news is we can learn to manage this. We can teach our brains a new way to interact with information. The first step is to recognize the lie. Your brain tells you that constant, exhaustive consumption of news is essential for your safety and well-being. That is often not true. While staying aware of important issues is valuable, believing you need to know every single piece of information as it happens from every angle is a trap. It leads to information overload, not empowerment. You don't need to drink from the fire hose to stay hydrated.
Here are some practical strategies to help you cultivate a healthier relationship with news. 1. Set boundaries, firm and clear ones. Think of that like setting an appointment. You wouldn't let just any meeting interrupt your entire day. Treat news consumption the same way. Designate specific times in your day when you will check the news. Maybe it's 15 minutes over your morning coffee and another 15 minutes in the evening. Crucially, stick to these times. Outside of those windows, resist the urge to scroll. Put your phone away, close news tabs, turn off notifications. This teaches your brain that there's a specific time for threat assessments, and the rest of the time, it can relax. It's like telling your alarm system, hey, I've got this covered. I'll check for fires at 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. You can stand down for now. 2. Choose your sources wisely and limit their number. Instead of a scattershot approach, bouncing from one sensational headline to another, select a few trusted, reputable sources that you know provide balanced, well-researched information. These might be a specific newspaper, a news app, or a few reliable journalists you follow. The goal here isn't to get into an echo chamber, but to reduce the sheer volume of input, quality over quantity. Imagine you're building a mental filter. Instead of letting all the mud and debris through, you're choosing a filter that allows only the clear, essential information to pass. This helps your brain process information more efficiently and with less panic. 3. Actively curate your digital environment. Social media platforms are often the worst culprits for anxiety-inducing news consumption because they blend personal updates with often highly politicized or sensationalized news. Take control. Unfollow or mute accounts that consistently trigger anxiety. Use keywords to filter out specific topics if they are overwhelmingly negative and non-actionable for you. Remember, you are the editor of your own feed. If something isn't serving your mental well-being, you have the power to remove it. This isn't about ignoring reality, it's about protecting your emotional energy so you can actually engage with reality more effectively when needed. 4. Distinguish between knowing and doing. When you encounter a piece of news, especially something concerning, ask yourself, is there anything I can do about this right now, today, in my immediate life? If the answer is no, then the information's primary purpose is just to inform you, not to burden you with an impossible task. If there is something you can do, whether it's donating to a cause, signing a petition, having a conversation, or preparing for something directly impacting you, then focus on that action. This shifts your brain from helpless worrying to empowered engagement. Worry often leads to paralysis. Concern, when channeled, can lead to action. Your brain lies to you when it tells you that worrying is the same as doing. It's not. 5. Practice mindful news consumption. Before you dive into the news, take a moment. Ask yourself, why am I looking at this right now? What do I hope to gain? As you read or listen, pay attention to your body. Do you feel your shoulders tightening? Is your breathing getting shallow? Notice your emotional reactions without judgment. When you finish, take a breath. Consciously shift your focus to your immediate environment, the feeling of the chair beneath you, the sounds around you, the next task on your agenda. This helps you transition out of the news cycle and back into your present reality, preventing the news from seeping into every corner of your day. It's like gently closing a book after reading a heavy chapter instead of letting the story linger and cloud everything else. Remember, your brain's primal wiring isn't trying to trick you maliciously. It's trying to keep you safe. But in our modern world, with its constant flood of global information, that ancient alarm system can become overstimulated, leading to chronic anxiety and feelings of powerlessness. You have the ability to re-educate your brain, to teach it that not every distant crisis is an immediate personal threat. You can learn to be informed without being overwhelmed. It's about being deliberate, setting boundaries, and regaining control over your mental landscape. This isn't about burying your head in the sand, it's about building a healthier, more sustainable way to engage with the world. So, as you go about your week, I invite you to reflect on a few things. 1. What does your current news consumption routine look like, and how does it make you feel emotionally and physically? 2. If you were to pick just one boundary or strategy we discussed today, like setting a time limit, choosing fewer sources, or curating your social media, which one feels most doable for you to try this week? 3. How can you remind yourself that your brain's instinct to worry about everything is often a lie that prevents you from focusing on what you can truly influence or enjoy in your immediate life? Thank you for joining me on Your Brain Light. I hope this conversation empowers you to build a more peaceful and informed relationship with the world around you. Take good care.